Another day as we count down to the Eagles' first playoff game, and another head coach has been fired. I mean, what is going on in the NFL? Plus, did you know tonight is the halfway point of the Philadelphia Flyers season? That's why in less than 20 minutes from now, me, Josh Hennig, here live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios on 97.3 ESPN. We will talk with Kevin Durso, our Flyers insider at 97.3 ESPN.com. Flyers at the halfway point. What are they? Because, listen, I can talk for 10 hours about the Eagles, okay? And I think most of us could have that conversation, especially if you're texting in at 609-403-0973. But the reality is that you are looking at a situation where we don't really have a lot of news about the Eagles until tomorrow. Tomorrow is the big day. Now, we did get a small morsel of news. That morsel of news being that the Eagles have released Ian Book from the practice squad. Now, the significance of that is you must have 3 quarterbacks either on the roster or roster plus practice squad because you need to designate someone to be your emergency third quarterback on game day. That's the NFL rule. Well, if the rule says that you have to have that, and now your 3 quarterbacks are Hurts, Pickett, and McKee, I think it's fair to say that we already know what's going on here. That the Eagles are preparing for the return of Jalen Hurts, Sal Paolantonio. Earlier today on 97.3 ESPN Radio, he was on the national show Greeny. Fill-in host was Chris Carlin, and he was asked about Jalen Hurts, and he said Hurts already took a big step forward leading into this week.
Tomorrow, when the team gets on the practice field, we might see him on the practice field. We have not seen him at all. He was at the walkthrough on Saturday, going through reps mentally, and as everybody knows, Saturday when you're going through mental reps, you're just looking at the game plan and formation and alignment and assignment, so it's not any heavy lifting, but it was an important first step for Jalen Hurts.
So Saturday was the first step. The second step was today, moving on from Ian Book. So it's looking like Jalen Hurts is going to play. And I think it's very important to keep that in mind, that I know for some people out there, that is the big focus. That is, quote unquote, the most important thing. But the reality is that it's actually not. Listen, we ran a poll earlier today at Mike Gill Show at 973 ESPN where the question was, who is the most important Eagles player or coach for the Super Bowl run? And 68% of you said Jalen Hurts. And I'm here to tell you guys, you're all nuts. All of you who are voting Jalen Hurts in that large of a degree are off your rocker. Why, you say? It's because of Vic Fangio, Dan Graziano, this morning on ESPN's Get Up, said this.
The defense has been the difference between last season's Eagles and this season's Eagles. Saquon Barkley is brilliant, an outstanding player, and has been huge for them. But the fact of the matter is, last year's Eagles offense ranked very similarly to this year's Eagles offense. Last season, the Eagles were 29th in defensive efficiency and 30th in defensive EPA. This season, they're first and second in those categories.
The Eagles have literally gone from last to first in numerous categories. And I don't think it's no small thing to not look at Vic Fangio and say he is going to be the key to a playoff run. This year's defense has allowed the fewest total yards in the NFL and the fewest first downs. They have also allowed the third lowest third down conversion rate. You heard Graziano give out numbers. I can give you numbers for days why the Eagles' defense is so important. The Eagles' defense is going to be the key to a postseason run. Because at the end of the day, if you don't stop the other team from scoring, it doesn't matter who your quarterback is. Sports history is full of quarterbacks who never won a championship outside of having a good defense, outside of having a good team. There's a reason why Dan Marino never won a championship. There's a reason why John Elway only won a championship when he was surrounded by Hall of Famers. There's a reason why Aaron Rodgers was unable to single-handedly lift the Jets out of the abyss. And there's a plethora of other examples as well. The quarterback is a part of a large puzzle. And the 2017 Eagles showed you that the quarterback is less important than the defense on the road to the championship game. Now, you still need the quarterback to make big plays. You still need the quarterback to do his job. But the defense is what is going to carry you. Darius Slay on the Big Play Slay podcast said this.
We know teams are great enough to get down there. The harder thing is to get in that box. That's why we wanted the number one scoring defenses, you know what I'm saying? All that great stuff, because you can have a high-powered offense, but a high-powered offense don't get in that box. It don't mean nothing.
It don't mean nothing. Hey, Darius Slay, why, in your opinion, are the Eagles so much better defensively this year than last year? What did Vic Fangio do? Here's Big Play Slay.
No, we was red zone team last year, 2023, and I'm telling you, Vic Fangio, first thing he came and did, we did not do my, field stuff, learning the field calls, and that in the middle. We went straight into the red zone for like at least 2 weeks in OTA, working on red zone calls and everything. So that's why you see the results of us in the red zone now, because we start off in the red zone.
And I go back immediately in my mind to week 1 when the Eagles defense had to bend but not break with those turnovers early in the game in Brazil. The Eagles offense had those turnovers. Jalen Hurts, that one interception was horrible he threw. Just absolutely embarrassing throw. The Eagles defense stood tall, didn't let touchdowns in, kept the Eagles within striking distance, allowed Philadelphia's offense to get back on track. And as Sal Palantonio says, yeah, that defense did their job week 1, but this defense is different now than what the Green Bay Packers saw in Brazil.
They also fixed the defense, went back to harder tackling drills, longer practices, inserted Cooper DeJean. Quinyon Mitchell came into his own. Jalen Carter, in my view, is an all-pro at defensive tackle. And they're sending, a lot of people to the Pro Bowl on that defense, including Zach Bond, who's is an absolute revelation as a linebacker. And Zach Bond is close to leading the league in tackles. So they're a different defense. That game was the first game under the Vic Fangio defense.
It's very interesting as well because of the fact that, again, I know defense is not the sexy conversation, okay? I understand that when it comes to football, the quarterback is the Lamborghini. The quarterback is the Ford Mustang Shelby GT. And that the defense is the Toyota Corolla. It's not exciting. It's the minivan. No middle-aged man wants to be driving a minivan. But the minivan is going to get you further than the sports car. Like these past 2 days, driving from Cape May County to here, we got snow dumped in Cape May County. And I'm telling you right now, you think I was making it to work? If I was driving a sports car, if I was driving a fancy car, no, of course not. I made it in part because I'm basically driving the equivalent of an SUV at this point, okay? So I think that many times we don't appreciate the fact that in sports history, Individuals don't win championships. It's a team. Dan from EHT understands what I'm saying at 609-403-0973. Dan says an individual can make a difference, but a team makes a championship. This Eagles team is destined for greatness. Well, Dan, I understand that there's a lot of positivity there with that comment. Look, at the end of the day, it's not that you don't need the individuals, but the individuals have to come together as a team, and that's what's important. Steve in EHC chimes in. He disagrees. He says, Josh, you are nuts. No Hurts, no chance. As simple as that. Nothing more needs to be said. Imagine Vic Fangio is more important than Jalen Hurts. That's comedy. The same Fangio that came to the field to prepare them for the Super Bowl versus the Chiefs and almost give up 40 points. That Vic Fangio, Steve in EHT. Well, Steve, a couple things there. First of all, your narrative on Vic Fangio ignores the facts. Fangio didn't come to Philadelphia to prepare them. Fangio was an advisor with the organization for the entire season of 2022. When Jonathan Gannon looked like he was staying in Philadelphia as DC, then Fangio decided to take the Dolphins job. In the Super Bowl that you talk about, Fangio wasn't calling the defense. Fangio was not making the poor second half adjustments. Fangio was the one being stubborn in his play calling. That was Jonathan Gannon. So, Stephen Vinici, you're creating a narrative that fits your argument. Okay? And I am saying a coach can be more important than a quarterback because at the end of the day, you may not like the truth, Stephen HT, but football history is full of individuals who never won championships because they were on not great teams. You know, I think a lot of people would say, do I think who's more important, Bill Walsh or Joe Montana? To which I say, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Because is there a Joe Montana if Bill Walsh doesn't draft and develop him, right? Well, the Patriots won because of Belichick or Brady. Well, they didn't win without either one of them. You know, the Patriots won 11 games one year with Matt Castle, but then Tom Brady won without Belichick in Tampa. So it's easy to throw out, you know, narratives to fit your argument, Stephen EHT, but the reality is that defense wins championships and quarterbacks sell tickets. Jeff from Ocean City chimes in before we hit the break at 609-403-0973. Says, I feel this team is better than the 2017 team. However, I'm worried that Nick Sirianni can't finish the job. Now, that's a fair statement because, again, Sirianni's team got to the championship game. He didn't finish the job. Now, if you're someone like me who wants to blame Jonathan Gannon for some of that, okay, that's me. But I understand that if you're someone who says, hey, this guy Sirianni has gotten this team to a halftime lead at the Super Bowl and his team couldn't finish the job, I think that's more than fair to say that. I don't think it's an ignorant thing to say at all, Jeff in Ocean City. At the end of the day, we can find points for why this team will not win a championship. The reality is that the Eagles' biggest difference from last year to this year is that the defense, one of the worst of football last year, it's one of the best of football this year. That's facts. Now, what you do with that information, that's on you. And listen, I get it. A lot of you out there, you look at the Eagles and think they're a better team. I think the Eagles are better right now versus the Packers than they were week one. And at the end of the day, that is the bigger news with this whole conversation. That the Eagles team going against the Packers this Sunday, when Merrill Reese and Mike Quick call all the action here in your home for Eagles football in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN, they are going to be calling the action for an Eagles team that is better right now than they were when they faced the Packers in Brazil. Philadelphia Flyers are at the halfway point of their season. They are back in action tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7:30. Our Flyers insider Kevin Durso joins me next. Flyers at the halfway point of the season. We'll get the state of the team next on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Tuesday night.
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow night on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Could be jab step jumper. It's good. He buries it. His 13th field goal.
It's Sixers Wizards tomorrow night. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
It's in the air, and it's good. A triple. Ring the bell.
May old car problems be forgot in a brand new SUV.
Matt Platt Kia with over 1,100 new Kias, like the all-wheel drive Kia Sportage or Sorento SUV. 0 down, 0 payments until March, or 0% for 48 months. So bring any trade, because if you have a job clearing $450 per week, you're practically approved during the Season of New Traditions sales event. Buried in a loan or lease? Matt Platt Kia wants to get you released. New Kia K4, just $159 per month lease with 0 security deposit and only $36.95 due. Matt Platt Kia, your PA and New Jersey Kia go-to, with over 1,100 new Kias to choose from. Matt Platt Kia, Abington, Egg Harbor Township, Toms River, or right to your front door.
It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
With approved credit, $13.89 per thousand finance. Not all will qualify. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblackkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Expires 1/14/25. Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
I occasionally have nerve discomfort in my hands, so the things I love to do...
Let's play something, Grandma.
...became difficult as I got older.
If you have occasional stabbing and burning in your hands and feet, try Nervive Nerve Relief. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use. Say yes to healthy nerves with Nervive Nerve Relief.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and skip the regular line at the airport and pay for speedy security. Imagine not having to quickly unpack and pack at the place you already came packed to. And wearing your shoes the whole time you're there? You can't put a price on that kind of luxury. Well, actually you can, and you paid for it. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time for speedy security. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. The Flyers back on home ice tonight, taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. These two teams met Sunday in Toronto. Maple Leafs winning that contest 3-2. Philadelphia has dropped 7 of 9. NBA, the Sixers fell to the Phoenix Suns 109-99 on Monday. They have dropped 3 of their last 4. Tyrese Maxey 31 points in the loss. Kelly Oubre added 26. Joel Embiid did not play due to a left foot sprain. Philadelphia will play Wednesday at home against the Washington Wizards. The Eagles will face the Green Bay Packers in the opening round of the playoffs on Sunday. Philadelphia a 2 seed, going 14-3 this season. Green Bay a 7 seed. They went 11-6. And Green Bay will not have wide receiver Christian Watson available. He suffered a season-ending ACL injury in the season finale against the Bears. The Eagles, the number 2 rushing offense in the league. Progressive Insurance, bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, AI, how many touchdowns did the Eagles score in the 2023 season?
The Eagles scored 49 touchdowns in the 2023 season.
Hey, AI, I had a fall recently. I need to recover. Please help me walk again.
I'm sorry, but that is beyond my capabilities.
Hey, AI, my parents are getting older, and I can't care for them by myself. Can you help me care for them?
I'm sorry, that is beyond my capabilities. AI will never replace care, but here's what I found for the best care near you.
Autumn Lake Healthcare Centers, trusted leaders in skilled nursing rehabilitation and senior care, and proud partners of the Philadelphia Eagles.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Better bundle up tonight, one of the coldest nights of the entire winter season, and it's still going to be breezy too. Low temperature 21, the wind chill may dip into the single digits. Tomorrow, sunshine with a few clouds, again windy and cold, high of 30. Sunny, still windy, still frozen on Thursday, high of 31. Increasing clouds on Friday with a high of 34. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Cast your line for adventure at the 2025 Wildwood Fishing and Boating Expo at the Wildwoods Convention Center. 3 days of fishing and boating excitement with over 80,000 square feet of exhibits, the latest gear, expert seminars, and win a Yeti 65 at a free raffle drawing. The expo runs January 10th through the 12th, Friday 1 to 7, Saturday 9 to 6, and Sunday 9 to 2. $10 for adults, $3 for kids. Tickets available at the box office. Visit fishingexpowildwood.com for more.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
We'll get back to texts in just a little bit later this hour, 609-403-0973. I got the feeling Steve and EHT is still mad at me. So, it's the halfway point of the season of the Flyers, though. We got to get to the Flyers because, at times like this, it's like the Flyers went to the West Coast. People forgot about them, right? So they're back at Wells Fargo tonight, and it's literally game 41 tonight. And so Kevin Durso, our Flyers insider from 97.3 ESPN.com, joins me. First of all, Kevin, welcome back. Happy New Year. How you doing?
Doing well, Josh. Happy New Year to you as well.
So, Kevin, for you, the Flyers, right now, are they about what you expected? Are they better, worse? What is your tiering of the Flyers at this point at halfway?
I mean, they are what they are kind of at this point. They're among a group of teams. I've said a couple times over the last several days, there's half the teams in the league are not very good, honestly. And they're right in the middle of that pack. There's only really a small handful of teams that are really elite level at this point, maybe 7 or 8 tops. And you have 2 that are in particular that are really bad at the bottom of the standings. And everybody else is really in this middle ground trying to figure things out. I mean, they're a team right now that for the month of December they just had are still 2 points out of a playoff spot and also 2 points away from being the last place team in their division. That tells you a lot about where everybody else is around you, where it makes it hard to make decisions kind of because you could be a playoff team with one really good winning streak. You also could be right at the bottom and thinking about draft lottery with one really long losing streak. And one of the big problems for the Flyers is that, I think by this time last year, they had put together a few wins against teams that you weren't necessarily expecting them to get. They would beat some of those top tier teams and impress you in that way. They haven't really done that this year. There isn't really one win that stands out now. And, I think maybe a month ago we would have looked at the Ranger game and said that was really impressive. You look at all the problems the Rangers are dealing with, it's way less impressive now. So it's not the same kind of, you almost don't tier that win the same way anymore. And you have to look at kind of where all of those teams kind of lie and where they rank. And you look at the team they're playing tonight, the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are among those teams that are in the top 8 of the standings in the league right now. That's one of those teams that if they could find a way to win a game, if they would have found a way to win on Sunday, and set themselves up for a possibility to do it again tonight, you're looking at this a little differently. Maybe they are turning a corner. Maybe they can keep up with some of these teams. They've been competitive with teams like this, but they just haven't been able to kind of cross that finish line that makes you say they're right there with these other teams.
So you mentioned about the Rangers, right? The Rangers, by the way, if those don't know, they traded away their captain Trouba, Shesterkin's on injured reserve, so they're kind of a mess right now. Are the Rangers. So that's what Kevin Durso is talking about, our Flyers insider from 97.3 ESPN.com. Kevin, you know what Flyer fans are going to say out there, though? They're going to say, Kevin, the Flyers goaltending is one of the worst in the NHL. What is going on here? And, a lot of times in other sports, Kevin, what do? We question the GM. In basketball, Daryl Morey's an idiot. Dave Dombrowski in baseball, what is he doing? Howie Rose was not a football guy in the NFL. Well, Danny Briere, do we need to question Danny Briere at the halfway point of the season?
Not necessarily for the goaltending, in my opinion. Not unless you're going to look at the 3-goalie system and question that. I think that's worthy of some criticism. Because, to be honest, you should never be put in the situation that they were in on Sunday, throwing a goalie in, because now it's by necessity, obviously. But Ivan Fedotov sat here for a month and didn't get to play in a game, and the opportunity was there to do something to break up that 3-goalie system, whether it was sending Alexei Kolosov down, which is where I think this lies. If you didn't feel like you were in a position where Kolosov is kind of dictating where he is because of everything that went on with the situation to even get him here in the first place. He really should be molding in the AHL this year, and your two goalies should be Sam Ersson and Ivan Fedotov. If Kolosov was here today because of Sam Ersson's injury, that's a different story. I understand that situation. But you really shouldn't get to the halfway point of the season and still be playing around with a 3-goalie system, all on the active roster, all regardless of whether or not a guy's injured or not. And they did that for a month, basically, once Sam Ersson was back in the first place, that, okay, he's back. We're bumping somebody to 3, and we're just going to keep this thing rolling with the other 2 guys, and that guy's going to have to be ready if something happens. It should never come to that. And that might be that's the area for criticism then, to me. It's not about you got 3 guys that aren't very good or haven't been very good. Do something and bring another guy in. I don't know that there's anybody even out there that's really helping your situation. If there's an elite goalie out there, he's staying where he is. So you're not getting goaltending help like that. About the only thing you could do that would make this better is really establish the 1-2 system, put somebody in the minors as the number 3, and then deal with that situation later. But you have so many questions at that position based on watching 2 guys develop who are certainly young by NHL career standards. Fedotov's in that boat too, even though he's a 28-year-old, he's a rookie. And same thing with Kolosov at 23 and a rookie and very raw, got a lot of great talent, but also has a lot to learn. And then Sam Ersson just can't stay healthy lately. So you got problems across the board with that position, and there's really no help coming because think about what your number 4 option probably is. It's Cal Peterson, and we all saw how that went last year.
Yeah, no one wants to see Cal Peterson, but to the point about Kolosov, like, you know, and I'm not trying to throw the guy under the bus, but there's a part of me that feels like if this guy didn't cry and moan his way to the NHL, the Flyers might be a better team right now if they maybe had some veteran, you know, as the backup instead of Fedotov or Kolosov. And I'm not saying either one of them stinks, but as you just pointed out, it just seems like neither one of them is 100% ready for this level consistently. And I just got to think if, I don't even know who you want to throw out there, me, but some veteran goaltender, like on, I know Jonathan Quick's having a good year, he's not the best example, but like a veteran who would go out there and have a 3 or better goals against average, have let's say a 91 save percentage, do you maybe win 3 more games this year?
Yeah, a name that pops into my mind right away who was a free agent this offseason that probably would work is you get a Scott Wedgwood type, somebody who probably was backing up for the Devils at one point, things like that. You throw a guy like that in there, you're probably right about that. But I think that the situation, part of what you're talking about, was also predicated on Ivan Fedotov too, because when they got him over here in the first place, that wasn't meant to be a 3-game look and then we'll see what happens from there. They signed him to an extension really quickly that was kind of a handshake agreement when he got here in the first place late last season. So you had the Kolosov thing and you have Fedotov, who they wanted to get more of an extended look at and had to re-sign just to do that. So it really kind of collectively put them in a situation where a veteran really wasn't an option. That was Sam Ersson for you, basically, and they were going to learn what they could about these other 2. And you really are still in that learning process because they're both rookies and you haven't had a great chance to really see them. And you're trying to be competitive at the same time too. That's a whole nother aspect of it. You're trying to win games. So you're going to put the best guy out there. And a lot of times that's still Sam Ersson when he's healthy. So most of the nights when Sam Ersson's available, he's the guy going. And you really are only learning about these guys, these other 2, when you're thrown into this situation where they're the only 2 guys active and basically able to go.
Yeah. Didn't Wedgwood go to Nashville?
Yeah.
It's just like, you just look around the NHL, like all the good tandems have a veteran. And I just look at Ersson, I just feel bad for the guy because it's like, it feels like I mean, Kevin, you know as well as anyone, you know, Flyers fandom history is full of who's the goaltender? Why is our goaltender not good enough? Where's the goaltender? And it's like, there was this expectation put on Sam Ersson that he was going to be the next guy. And it's like, it's almost like if he's not out there, people have this like negative view of the team.
Well, and I think part of that has to do with, you know, he was kind of, I've said a couple times to you before, he was like the shiny new toy last season. So when he kind of comes into the picture and was out playing Carter Hart at a time, everybody was infatuated with him because he's out playing Carter Hart. And Carter Hart was giving you decent numbers last season before he went on leave, obviously. goaltending's not what it used to be. If you're a Flyers fan who's going to go back to the days of Marty Brodeur and things like that, goalies aren't putting up numbers like that anymore. And it's not just based on the amount of starts they're making. You don't have guys who have that level of elite goaltending. Connor Hellebuck's got numbers this year that are probably as close as you're going to see. His goals against average and save percentage are really up there. But at this point, a 9-10 save percentage is probably considered elite in the league, not even just above average. It's elite, and 900 is probably above average at this point, or certainly it's just slightly north of league average. So you don't need a whole lot in terms of save percentage at this point to be in that tier, and they're so far below it is the point. I was having a conversation yesterday about some of the goalies they had the year where they came in with Brian Elliott and Michael Neuvirth were the two goalies, and they eventually ended the year with 6 other guys sharing the net. Well, there's like 4 guys on the list that are actually topping the current Flyers goaltending this year with numbers that are certainly not elite level by any stretch. I'll give you one who is giving you elite numbers, and this is actually kind of an interesting tie because I don't know if people would consider him a veteran based on what they remember of him, or they feel like he may not have been around as long as it seems. But if not for an injury right now, the backup goalie tonight to Joseph Woll for the Toronto Maple Leafs would be Anthony Stolarz. And he's been putting up really good numbers when he's been healthy. He is injured right now, so he will not be even available to back up tonight. But there's an example of a guy who by this stage of his career was drafted long enough ago that, yes, by now he is considered a veteran and could have been one of your options, certainly, somebody like that. You see Alex Lyon making good starts in Detroit. Cal Pickard has made starts this year and looked better than some of the Flyers goalies. And these were guys that, whatever it was, 6 years ago at this point, in the year that they had those 8 different guys getting appearances that were nowhere near good enough and were part of the problem. Now they could have been part of the solution. I'm not saying you go back and revisit the ghosts of goaltenders past, if you will, but you get my point. These are guys that are giving you close. I mean, I think Alex Lyon's save percentage is .899. It's not great, but it's certainly better than what you're getting, and that's what you need to look for kind of at this point. Is you just want those situations. And I think also part of the equation, especially when you watch Kolosov lately, he makes some acrobatic and athletic saves, and they're incredible, and that's great. But there are plenty of saves that look like they're routine and should be easy ones that he ends up letting in. And that's really what sinks your save percentage more than anything, is not the acrobatic ones that you're making. It's the ones that you need to have, that when you don't make them, your save percentage just shoots straight down. And that's what's happening to the Flyers a lot.
Talking with Kevin Durso, our Flyers insider from 97.3 ESPN.com. Game number 41, halfway point of the season for the Flyers tonight, 7:30 here on 97.3 ESPN. Kevin, so what can be done, if anything, about the goaltending situation? Like, is there a solution that can be had? Like, is there a trade? Is there something that maybe they can fix here? Or are we stuck with this until the end of the year?
I mean, yeah, to me, that's probably the answer is you're stuck with it, because I just don't see any other way out of it. I don't see a trade that's out there that's going to change what they have. I don't see an acquisition, a waiver wire pickup, anything like that. I just don't see it for them. I think that for 2 reasons. One, I think when Sam Ersson gets healthy, I think they want him playing again because they want to see if he's starter capable. And then the other 2 guys, they've got to still learn about. So this is really trial by fire for them. There's also an element to me where I keep coming back to the 2 19-year-olds in the system that I think is the long play of this whole position. That while you're in the rebuild, you are trying to learn about these other guys. I still think that Kolosov probably has more potential than any goalie they have on the active roster right now. But that's a long play. He's 23. 2-3 years from now, I think that could look a little different. I think the long play with the 2 19-year-olds, though, is really where it's at for your long-term starter situation. Yegor Zavragin is the goalie who's in the KHL right now who, pretty much every game I see some sort of incredible save he makes, or I end up hearing about numbers that are just out of this world for the KHL. He's kind of the Igor Shesterkin of their system right now. That, Shesterkin didn't come over to the Rangers until he was 24. So it's a long way off. I know that's not what people want to hear for the patience play, but that might be the best goalie in the system right now. And he's going to be several years off, both by KHL contract and by age, honestly. And you might long play that thing until you get the answer to your solution here with, is that the number 1 goalie of the future? And also, is any of the other guys around this thing, the backup, maybe even the starter for a time? Who is that guy going to be? You want to believe it's Sam Ersson, but he's got to stay healthy. And maybe it is one of these other guys I find that hard to believe with Fedotov at 28 that he's going to be a long-term solution for anything. But Kolosov at 23 certainly could be a long-term part of this thing. You just got to kind of see it through and figure out what ends up happening. But I do think, if anything, that's the one move I think could happen somewhere down the line is you've got to have a long, hard conversation about what you can do with Alexei Kolosov when Sam Harrison comes back. And if the right thing to do is send him to the minors, regardless of what he thinks about it, and put him in the right spot for his development. Because if your answer for every other player on the roster is we're doing things for their development, then you really got to stand by that with your goaltending too and do the right thing for this kid at 23 in his first full season in North America and put him in a developmental league where he can get better before he's just kind of thrown to the wolves in the NHL.
I was just having the conversation before you came on, Kevin, about the Eagles, about how one individual can't win all the games for you. So if we could take that application to the Flyers, okay, Erson, Kolosov, Fedotov, they're all in development, right? So is there something the Flyers can do with the other players around them to maybe make life a little easier for them? Like, can they play better defense? Can they have better rotations to maybe not ask so much of the goaltender?
Certainly. I think it's been one of their weaknesses over the last month, honestly. When they came into December and when we talked about how there was a possibility, could we see 8 wins in the month of December with the way their schedule looked and the type of teams they were playing that were all part of this middling group? It was because they were playing really solid defense at the time, and that really faded away over the last month. They've hit a rough patch with that, and it's not like it even is just carrying over like last season where they would have some bad defensive periods at 5-on-5, get them on a penalty kill and they were outstanding. It's not even that. The penalty kill is also taking a hit. So it's kind of collective that when you kind of get these situations where another team's elite players offensively are able to kind of command the offensive zone, cycle the puck really well, and kind of stay within their game, they're eventually going to find a way to score goals. And your goaltending's not helping that by maybe not making the routine save or getting put in a bad spot, but you're also not playing really great in front of them either. I look at the first goal that Toronto scores that Fedotov really has no chance on a rebound, and he was giving up a lot of rebounds. That's certainly something that he can control as a goalie, but the turnover that starts that whole thing, and everybody saw the clip that was pretty much shown right after, John Tortorella went right over to Ryan Poehling and was really giving it to him because it's an avoidable turnover. It's just not a fundamental play. And those are the things when Tortorella talks about playing better in front of your goalies. Those are the situations you can't put your team in from a defensive standpoint, to make a mistake like that and be left with now your goalie's got to bail you out on a tough save when you should have been out of the zone and maybe making a line change there.
Kevin, before I let you go, moving forward, obviously, we're going to see what the Flyers are going to be the second half of the season. So what are some benchmarks for you heading down the next several games here that will determine if the Flyers could maybe be a wild card team or if they're just going to be in rebuild mode the rest of the year?
I mean, I think this week in particular is kind of the critical one for them because you're at home finally for the first time in a long time, and you're going to play really tough teams going through this. I mean, Anaheim probably doesn't qualify as one there on Saturday, but Toronto tonight, Dallas on Thursday, Florida next Monday. Those are some of those teams that are at least borderline, if not in the elite group that we're talking about here. I mean, one of them is the defending Stanley Cup champion. One of them is ranked top 6 in the league. Florida or Dallas has been one of those top teams over the course of the last several years. Maybe not quite where they typically are in the standings right now, but finding their way and getting the performances from some players that they need to. So they're right there in that group. They're going to make the playoffs. And then you're going to later on this month also face New Jersey 3 times. You're going to face the Rangers again, who maybe figure some things out before them. Maybe they don't. The Islanders are a team that you could have success against because they've got a lot of problems like you do, but there's a whole mix of teams in the middle of all of that it's like, it's kind of up in the air and it's up for grabs if you want to take it, that you could be that team. So there's a whole bunch of opportunity there to win games maybe people don't think you're going to win games maybe you should. If they can put a couple of those together, then maybe it changes my tune a little bit and a lot of what everybody else is saying about them, and makes them closer to being one of those wild card teams again. But this also could be a week for me after losing the first 2 games of the year to really potentially go down further. If you don't find a way against Toronto tonight or a team like Dallas or a team like Florida, you're already in one of these stretches right now where you haven't won a lot in recent memory, and it could continue for longer with some of the teams that are on your schedule. So has the potential to be a really tough month for them. And I think by the end of January, they're either going to have found a way out of some of this mess and have put together some wins, or they're going to continue down that path. And I really don't see, even if they hold at kind of an in-between, I don't think it helps their cause any. I think it's going to keep them trending toward the bottom of the standings more than moving up. So, an average to below average month for them isn't going to do them a lot of favors. A good month probably keeps them in the playoff race for the next month, and you kind of work your way into that break that they have in February. Individually, I'd love to see some of the goaltending come around a little bit to give some form of confidence in your backup. I thought you had that a little bit with that little stretch Kolosov was on going into December. It really fell off. Fedotov had a really good game on Sunday, I thought, so build on that. It's a shame Sam Harrison went down because he had 2 really good games before he did go down, and that looked like it was righting itself. And then I think from the rest of the standpoint, you want to see either guys bounce back to the form they had shown, someone like a Travis Samheim or a Cam York. Those 2 guys in particular, I think you want to see really have a good showing. And you really want to see Matvei Michkov kind of get back to what he was a little bit here. He had one really good game against LA over this last little stretch, but that's been it. And he's really hit this rookie wall hard. So you need him to kind of find a way to get back to what he was, because the frustration is starting to mount for him too, and you can see it a little bit. So for him to kind of build on his game and continue to get back to the offensive side that made him so successful to start the year, you want to see him come out of that stretch in a positive way.
He's Kevin Durso, our Flyers insider. Check out all of his coverage at 97.3 ESPN.com. His post-game wrap-ups on 97.3 and at Kevin Durso on Instagram. On Twitter, X at Kevin_Durso, and of course the weekly Flyer Files over on YouTube at 973 ESPN. Kevin, always appreciate the conversation. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it.
Josh Hennig here live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios here on 97.3 ESPN. Back to the text board. Coming up next, Tom from the Villas, as well as your texts and more. Steve from EHT still giving me a hard time. All that and more here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And we are live on my YouTube channel for every show at Josh Hennig. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tonight on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Listen as Tim Saunders and Todd Fedor bring you all the exciting play-by-play action.
They score! Konechny on the one-timer, and TK makes no mistake, the power play goal.
It's Flyers Maple Leafs tonight. Coverage begins at 7:30. It's Flyers hockey all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia Flyers hockey. 97.3 ESPN.
Well, the tree's gone. Family and friends are gone. Decorations need to go. But not as much as your old car. Get to Matt Blatt Nissan because AJ the Trade Man is giving 120% over KBB fair market value for your old beater.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
New Nissan Rogue, 0 down, 0% financing for 60 months. Have a job clearing $450 per week? You're virtually approved today. New 2025 Matt Blatt Nissan Sentra S, just $159 per month lease with 0 security deposit. Matt Blatt Nissan.com. On approved credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle, plus tax tag and $689 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattblattnissan.com for complete details. 39 months, 10,000 miles, 1,500 due through NEMAC. VIN SY231958. MSRP $22,730. Offer ends 1/14/2025. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike. Egg Harbor Township.
I've just been feeling so sluggish lately.
You should try the Metamucil 2-week challenge.
The Metamucil 2-week challenge?
Yeah, Metamucil 4-in-1 fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Start your daily routine now, and in 2 weeks, you could be feeling great. Well, it's been 2 weeks. How you feeling?
Lighter and feeling great.
If you want to feel lighter by promoting digestive health, sign up to take the 2-week challenge at Metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
The county just requested more electric charging stations.
Orders have really amped up at Able Electric.
We need 3 more at First and Main, and we just got another hotel chain.
It's no shock. Able Electric needs able electricians.
Grocery store wants charging stations too.
And fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. The Nizam's Indian Restaurant on Route 40 in Egg Harbor Township is ready to serve you delicious Indian dishes. NJ.com ranked them as the #2 best restaurant in all of New Jersey. And this just in. It's their Eagles football special. Your table receives free tandoori, spicy chicken wings if the Eagles win for dine-in customers only. Join them for a special lunch buffet, Fridays through Sundays from 11:30 to 3 p.m. Visit thenizams.com for more information.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage? You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Mobil 1 can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $38.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose. And millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Hi, I'm Dan Tracy. I'm a workers' compensation attorney. At Goldenberg Mackler, we've handled thousands of workers' compensation claims over the years. Our experienced attorneys understand the law and will fight to get you the benefits that you deserve. When injured at work, make the right call to Goldenberg Mackler. Call us at 609-344-7131. That's 609-344-7131. Or visit us online at gmslaw.com.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
What's better than 1 win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get 1 line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City. A community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
All right, before we wrap up the hour, let's get to the text board at 609-403-0973. Tom from the Village chimes in. It made me laugh at first, but I'm glad he brought it up. He said, I know it's kind of off topic, but I had a good laugh at the Houston Texans going to Tennessee, who were wearing the Houston Oilers uniforms with Oiler paint on the field. That's from Tom Navillas. Well, I got the irony as well. Look, there's two problems with that whole situation. Number one, as far as I'm concerned, the Tennessee Titans lost their right to the Houston Oilers the moment they left town. You know, when the Cleveland Browns left Cleveland to go to Baltimore, they didn't keep the Cleveland Brown logo or uniforms or anything. They were like, we're the Baltimore Ravens now. To me, the only team that gets to keep their history, who moved, were the Raiders, because they've moved so many times now. And frankly, no city has tried to replace them. They're just like, well, the Raiders left. Oh, well. You know what I mean? Listen, when the Colts went to Indianapolis, they stayed the Colts. The Titans literally left Houston and rebranded in 2 years as a completely different franchise. So you have forfeit your right to anything Houston Oilers. And frankly, I'm glad they lost in those uniforms on Sunday, because they should get butt whooped for being a bunch of indignant turds about the fact that they literally abandoned a city and now is trying to rewrite history and keep calling themselves, see, we were the Oilers. So good for the Texans to go in there and smack him in the face. I mean, then the organization fires their GM the next day, like it's the GM's fault. Everything's the GM's fault, right? That's why I say that little tongue-in-cheek about Danny Briere to Kevin Durso earlier. Like, where do we draw the line between players not doing their job or a coach not doing their job and the GM not doing their job? And I feel like in Tennessee, they just want to blame somebody. All right, rant done. Dan from EHT follows up and says, Super Bowl hangovers are real. Proof again was this year the 49ers fell apart as the Eagles did last year. The Eagles need to win it all so the hangover doesn't happen again. Easier said than done, my man. Finally, Steve from EHT, who likes to mess with me, followed up and said, if you look at the betting lines, the spread moved an entire touchdown when Hurts was ruled out versus the categories. Spread literally went from 13 to 6, which is absolutely absurd. How much impact Hurts has on a betting line is massive. If you think Fangio had some reason he couldn't attend the game, the spread would drop. No, I bet it wouldn't move at all. Well, I disagree with that part. And I know you're trying to, poke the bear a little bit, and I appreciate it. We have good back and forth, Steve PhD. I do think if something happened to Fangio, the line would move, because I think that a smart football fan knows how important Fangio is to this team. And frankly, if you're a sportsbook operator, you're really going to lose a ton of money because someone's going to bet hard against the other side, and you're dumb enough not to move the line. Remember, the sports betting, the sports books move the lines because they're trying to hedge your bet so the house doesn't lose money. So don't always read into the lines as a answer. Use it as a piece of information. Yes, you're right. If Hurts doesn't play, it impacts the game, it impacts perception. But the Eagles still blew out the Cowboys anyway, so the book was wrong. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. I'll catch you tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles playoff football. It's the Super Wildcard Round this Sunday, hosting the Green Bay Packers.
A.J. Brown to the 15, to the 10, the 5, touchdown! Hurts the Browns!
Oh, that's just fun to watch. Eagles Radio Network coverage begins at 3 p.m. Merrill and Mike call all the action starting at 4:30. This is South Jersey's official home for Eagles playoff football. 97.3 ESPN.
Score a touchdown when you bank with Jersey Shore Federal Credit Union. Catch lower rates on loans and higher rates on savings. You'll cheer when you don't have to pay a penny to get your own money, since they offer 85,000 surcharge-free ATMs. Get the details or open an account online with just a $25 minimum deposit at JerseyShoreFCU.org, or swing to a branch